Why do some people always seem to have a storm cloud over their head, blaming everyone else for their misfortunes, yet never taking out an umbrella? They act like life is a tragic movie and they're the main character, but forget to mention they wrote the script. According to Stoicism, this mindset isn't just unhelpful, it's weak. Playing the victim might get sympathy, but it never builds strength. Marcus Aurelius didn't write Meditations just so you could whine about your Wi-Fi being slow. Before we dive in, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to help our journey grow. Stick around till the end, because this Stoic truth will challenge how you see yourself and others forever. Number 1. The illusion of control through victimhood. People often assume that playing the victim is a sign of weakness. But ironically, it's a twisted way of trying to gain control. When someone constantly complains about how unfair life is, they're subtly placing themselves at the center of the universe. They're saying, "Look how much I suffer. Look how much I deserve sympathy." It's a psychological trick, one that Stoicism calls out instantly. From a Stoic point of view, this is the exact opposite of control. True control lies in our response, not in manipulating others to feel sorry for us. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we should be tolerant with others and strict with ourselves. Playing the victim does the reverse. It's being harsh with the world and overly kind to our own flaws. Victimhood gives people a pass on responsibility. If life is always happening to them, they don't have to take ownership of their decisions. But Stoicism teaches us that everything within our control, our thoughts, our choices, our character, is our domain. Victimhood says, "Why me?" Stoicism replies, "Why not me?" Here's the kicker. The world doesn't owe us emotional reparations. Seneca would say that misfortune is simply training. If you skip the lessons because you're busy blaming the universe, you fail the course permanently. Number 2, emotional manipulation disguised as suffering. Let's be real. Some people wield suffering like a social weapon. They subtly manipulate others through guilt, pity, or martyrdom. It's emotional blackmail in slow motion. And Stoicism? It sees right through the performance. This is where Stoicism becomes brutally honest. Epictetus warned against being carried away by emotion because it clouds judgment. When someone constantly complains to get attention or sympathy, it's a form of self-indulgence, not a genuine cry for help. It might seem harsh, but it's the truth. Pain is real, but milking it for power is a choice. And here's the funny part. This victim act often works for a while. People lean in, offer help, give them the moral high ground. But over time, people get tired. Respect fades. And instead of being seen as resilient, they're seen as needy, draining, and unreliable. It's social bankruptcy in action. Stoicism reminds us, don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. If you're truly suffering, be still, endure, and overcome. There's more dignity in quiet strength than in loud desperation. Number 3, why Stoicism rejects the victim mindset. The Stoics had absolutely zero patience for a victim mentality. Life will hit you hard. Sometimes it'll feel unfair. But the philosophy of Stoicism isn't built around fairness. It's built around resilience. Around the idea that life doesn't owe you comfort. It gives you challenges to sharpen your character. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men of his time, wrote extensively about suffering, betrayal, and death. But he never once framed himself as a victim. Why? Because victimhood is a distraction. It redirects your energy from action to whining, from building to blaming. The Stoics believe the strongest man in the room is the one who suffers silently and keeps walking. Victimhood is loud. Strength is quiet. Victimhood needs validation. Strength is self-contained. The difference is internal power. So if you're tempted to say, "No one understands what I'm going through," consider this. Someone out there has faced worse with less and still chose to rise. Don't sell yourself short. Don't sell your story for cheap sympathy. You're meant to be the hero, not the background character crying in the corner. Number 4, accountability is the death of victimhood. Victimhood dies the moment accountability walks into the room. Owning your life, the good, the bad, and the ugly, is like installing mental armor. You stop waiting for rescue. You become the rescuer. That's not just stoic thinking, it's powerful living. It's tempting to blame your parents, your boss, your ex, the economy, even Mercury being in retrograde. But guess what? While you're pointing fingers, someone else is building. Stoicism doesn't ask, whose fault is it? It asks, what are you going to do now? When you take responsibility, you start asking better questions. What can I learn here? How can I grow from this? What can I control in this situation? That shift in perspective is everything. It's how pain becomes progress and suffering becomes strength. Humor me for a second. Imagine Seneca on a modern therapy couch. The therapist asks, how did that make you feel? Seneca replies, irrelevant. I'm here to master myself, not explain my feelings to death. Stoic therapy is brutal, but it works. Number 5, building inner strength through detachment. At the heart of Stoicism is detachment, the art of not tying your identity to external events. When you're not defined by what happens to you, you stop being a victim. You become an observer, a thinker, a strategist, and more importantly, a doer. Victimhood clings to the past. Stoicism lives in the present. It teaches that no matter what you've been through, your response now is what defines you. It's not about denying your pain. It's about choosing not to be owned by it. You start realizing that other people's opinions, judgments, or rejections don't define your worth. When you detach from the need for approval, you also detach from the need to play the victim. Because if you don't need their praise, you certainly don't need their pity. To wrap it up, the weak play the victim because it's easier, it's safe, but strength, real strength, is about facing life head-on, without excuses, without blame, and with the full ownership of your response. That's what Stoicism teaches, and that's what sets the strong apart from the rest. Number 6, victimhood as an excuse to avoid growth. One of the sneakiest tricks the mind plays is convincing us that we're not growing because life is unfair. The victim mindset provides a neat little excuse for staying stagnant. I could have succeeded, but, and then insert any external excuse. That but becomes the shield people use to protect themselves from the painful truth. They're scared of growing, scared of failing, or worse, scared of succeeding and then being held accountable for it. Stoicism doesn't tolerate this kind of self-deception. Epictetus made it very clear. The only things that truly matter are within our control. If you're not improving, it's not because the world stopped you. It's because you let yourself stop. Playing the victim may win you sympathy, but it also robs you of transformation. Growth is messy. It requires confrontation with your past, with your fears, with your laziness. The victim mindset avoids all of that and instead demands compassion without evolution. But compassion is meant to be a bridge to healing, not a couch you nap on while life passes by. Look, nobody grows from being wrapped in bubble wrap and told they're perfect. That's not self-love. That's self-sabotage with glitter on it. Real growth happens when you say, this situation sucks, but I'm still responsible for what I do next. That's the Stoic path. Number 7, the culture of victimhood and social validation. In today's world, victimhood has almost become a social currency. The more pain you post about, the more applause you receive. Suddenly, suffering isn't just personal, it's public performance. But the Stoics would have asked, what's the point of displaying wounds if you're not trying to heal them? Social media thrives on engagement, and nothing engages like drama. So people turn their setbacks into sagas, hoping for likes, shares, and that dopamine hit of digital validation. But the problem is that high doesn't last. And instead of working through their challenges privately, people become addicted to being seen as victims. Stoicism reminds us that public recognition is empty if your soul is still in chaos. Marcus Aurelius warned us about seeking the applause of fools. If you find more comfort in being pitted than in being respected, you've taken a wrong turn somewhere on your path. There's nothing noble about staying wounded for applause. It's like falling in a pit and building a house there because the lighting is good for selfies. Pain is real, but don't brand it, don't sell it. Use it, rise from it. Let your comeback be your content. Number 8. Strength is choosing responsibility over emotion. Weak people often let emotions drive the bus, while Stoics politely ask them to take the back seat. The victim mindset thrives on emotional highs. Outrage, sadness, helplessness, all valid emotions, but when they're used to justify an action, they become dead weight. Stoicism is clear. You can feel emotions, but you don't have to obey them. Just because you're angry doesn't mean you get to lash out. Just because you're hurt doesn't mean you're broken forever. Responsibility is doing what needs to be done regardless of how you feel in the moment. Imagine if Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, decided not to govern because he was in his feelings. Sorry, Senate, I'm taking a mental health day. The vibes are off. The empire would have collapsed faster than a first-year crypto coin. Yet here we are, letting minor setbacks cancel entire life goals. The strong understand that emotions are data, not commands. Victimhood clings to every feeling like it's gospel. But strength says, I hear you, emotion. Now sit down, I've got work to do. That's the mindset of someone who wins, whether in Rome or in your everyday life. Number 9. How victimhood breeds entitlement. One of the hidden dangers of the victim mentality is that it quietly breeds entitlement. When someone constantly sees themselves as wronged, they start to believe the world owes them compensation. I've suffered, so I deserve more kindness, more breaks, more praise. But Stoicism cuts that entitlement at the root. The Stoics believe the world is indifferent to your feelings, and that's freeing, not cruel. Once you accept that life owes you nothing, you stop waiting for rewards and start building results. Playing the victim and expecting life to serve you justice is like yelling at a thunderstorm to stop raining. You'll end up soaked and frustrated. Entitlement turns suffering into a bargaining chip. I've been through pain, so now I get to take shortcuts. But there are no shortcuts. Stoicism says every reward worth having is earned through effort, character, and consistency, not by leveraging hardship. The truth? Life doesn't care what you've been through, but it respects what you build in spite of it. That's where the real power lies. Not in demanding, but in deserving. Not in crying for help, but in rising and offering help to others. Number 10. Victimhood blocks wisdom and self-mastery. Wisdom is one of Stoicism's highest virtues, but it can't grow in soil poisoned by blame. A victim mindset blocks self-reflection. It replaces, what can I learn, with who can I blame? That one substitution is enough to derail an entire lifetime of growth. When you're stuck in victim mode, everything becomes external. They hurt me, life is unfair, I had no choice. Stoicism flips that narrative. It asks, what was my role in this? How can I act better next time? Wisdom isn't about being right. It's about being ready to improve. Victimhood often feels righteous. After all, who can argue with pain? But the problem is that pain becomes a distraction. Instead of sharpening your mind, you become consumed by your story. And when your identity becomes your struggle, you stop progressing. Self-mastery means you no longer let your past dictate your present. It means you can acknowledge your pain without being your pain. The Stoics weren't emotionless, they were disciplined. They knew that wisdom grows in silence, in responsibility, and in refusing to stay small just because life knocked you down. If you made it this far, you're already stronger than most. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs a little Stoic wisdom. The journey to mental strength isn't always easy, but trust me, it's worth it. See you in the next one, where we'll go even deeper.